Yep, we are back in the UK after an amazing trip to Chamonix, France. So Liga could take on the challenging CCC at UTMB. She really did run the perfect race, and then we moved on to Switzerland so that I could take on the UTMR Mattertal 52K. Hands down the toughest, hardest 50K I've ever run in my life, in some epic, stunning mountain scenery. And there'll be race day videos of both of those races on the channel soon. If you are new to Run4Adventure, we actually film lots of content out in Chamonix as Liga prepared for her hardest challenge to date, the CCC. So I'll link all of those videos in the description below. But back to today's topic, and it is the new Balance FuelCell Propel V5, a neutral road running training shoe, but it's actually got a TPU propulsion plate worked into that midsole construction. And you get all of that for only £120 here in the UK, which I personally think is really good value. So let's dive into the video. I'll give you a few facts and figures about the shoes, then I'll break down the construction in a bit more detail, and finally I'll lace them up and I'm going to take them out for their first run. Welcome back, folks. It's good to be back in the studio bringing you guys a first impressions video. I'm Lloyd Purvis and this is Run4Adventure. So like I said, we've been away for a while and I'm just hoping I can remember what to do. So first things first, let's give you a few facts and figures about the new shoe. So like I've already mentioned, they retail in the UK for a reasonable £120. My pair in a UK 10 tips the scales at 300 grams, and we've got a 6mm heel offset on the Propel V5. Breaking down the construction and starting with the upper first, we've got a pretty standard looking design, and definitely when you compare it to the more minimal stripped back upper on the Rebel V4. So we've got a thicker, heavier engineered mesh used this time round. I would say we've got more padding in the tongue, around the ankle collar and in the heel cup, but we do just have a standard tongue design. So unfortunately, no gusseted tongue inside that upper. We've got a good level of support in the back end of the shoe from a nice substantial heel cradle, and then finishing up we've got some overlays around the lace eyelets for a bit of extra durability, and the two center eyelets got this actual sort of cord locking system just to make sure you get a nice secure midfoot hold. The Propel V5 comes with a full fuel cell foam midsole, easy for me to say, and it does feel nice and soft when I push into it, so should offer a good level of comfort underfoot. And I've always been a fan of the ride quality the fuel cell foam gives you. However, we do have that TPU plate worked in there and it does feel very stiff at the midfoot. Obviously it's a brand new shoe, might take a bit of bedding in, but it does also feel like it's got a nice bit of sort of snap and spring to the forefoot. You can actually see that TPU plate wrapping around the lateral side of the shoe, which I think is a little bit odd. Not sure why New Balance have done that. I would have thought they'd have wrapped it around the medial side to give you a little bit more sort of arch support in the shoe, but never mind. It's going to be interesting to see how that feels and how that performs out on the run. And then flipping them over, you can see we've got a good amount of blown rubber on all the high wear areas, just for a bit of extra grip and longevity. But we do have this sort of channel or cutout running down the center of the midsole, and I'm just really hoping that this doesn't become an annoying stone trap, because that has actually happened to me with some other New Balance road shoes before, but I guess only time will tell. And on that note, I'm off to get changed. I'm going to grab the cameras and we're going to be bringing you guys along on my first run in the New Balance FuelCell Propel V5. So we'll see you out there. Okay, so we have ticked off 3 miles already, and We got a lovely evening in Cornwall. We must have brought back the sunshine from Chamonix with us. First things first, the legs are feeling pretty good. Now, it's just under a week since I took on that challenging race in Switzerland, and I really didn't know how my legs were going to feel tonight because they did take a bit of a hammering. So it was 52 kilometers in length with 4,100 meters of elevation, but there was actually about 12 or 13k of flat running on the course. So it was actually 40 kilometers with 4,100 meters. And if you do the maths, that's about 1,000 meters of climb every 10k. So my legs really did take a hammering, but they feel pretty good. As far as the shoes go, well, let's talk about fit first. So I went up half a size to a UK 10 like I always do in a New Balance shoe, and I got some really good length in the toe box. So I would say it definitely sizes small, so you want to go up at least half a size. Midfoot lockdown feels really good, nice and secure. I did have to play around with the laces a bit back at home to get that right, but once I got it right, I do feel nice and locked into the shoe. Good hold, good support in the heel, and I would say, you know, average width in the toe box. So again, what I tend to find with New Balance is they're not the widest shoes in the world, but you know, I've got a nice bit of wiggle room in the toe. All in all, the upper feels good and it fits my foot shape well, but we're going to hopefully get in sort of 7.5, 8 miles tonight, depends how the legs feel. So we better crack on and get this run done. Okay, so we are heading for home. 6.5 miles run already, so it's going to be a good 7.5 by the time we get back. Super positive on two fronts. So one, the body and legs feel good, which is a positive thing because middle of next week myself and Lee are going to be flying out to Norway to take on the Fyri Trail 29k. It's actually the Nordic Salomon Golden Trail Series final, so yeah, we're flying out there middle of the week and the race is next weekend. 29k with 1,400 meters of elevation. So as you can imagine, we're both super excited about that. We've always wanted to go to Norway. The route, the terrain, the scenery looks stunning, so can't wait to get out there. And on the second front, the shoe, the New Balance FuelCell Propel V5, has felt good out here on its first run. I did have my concerns at home with that TPU plate in the midsole. It did feel very stiff at the midfoot, but now I'm out here running in it, it doesn't feel as stiff as I thought it would. So obviously there's a plate there, there's a bit of rigidity, but it doesn't feel overly stiff. But let's get back to the studio and we'll wrap this video up with a quick conclusion. Okay, so 8.05 miles later, we are back in the studio and feeling pretty good about the run, although it was quite odd being back on the hard stuff, running on the roads after 5 or 6 weeks of predominantly running on the trails. But how did the FuelCell Propel V5 get on out there today? First things first, out of the box comfort was really good. So no rubbing, no irritation or anything like that. Just the right level of padding in the tongue and around that ankle collar for me. I would have liked a gusseted tongue instead of that standard tongue design. I do like to have that gusseted tongue feel in my running shoes. However, still managed to get a nice secure lockdown around my midfoot. And I think the upper worked really well for my foot shape. Like I thought, the FuelCell foam in the midsole gave me a nice, comfortable ride. Maybe not as soft and as bouncy as I thought it was going to be, but still comfy. Also, the Propel V5 felt nice and stable and planted out there, and I think a lot of that feel comes from this TPU plate worked into the midsole, because it does give the shoe that level of rigidity at the midfoot, which felt nice and stable. However, I do tend to run off a neutral gait on a midfoot strike, and the heel section of the midsole is very, very soft there, you can see. So maybe if you were a bit more heavy or a bit more dominant on a heel strike, you might struggle when it comes to stability. With it being under a week since my race in Switzerland, my legs felt good, but I wasn't going to risk anything and push the pace. So it was just a really nice steady run today, averaging about 8:30 to 9-minute miling. And at that kind of tempo, I didn't really feel that the TPU plate was giving me a great deal of propulsion. Obviously, it'd be really good to test the shoes out on some quicker sort of paced runs, some quicker tempos. So that's exactly what we'll be doing. So once we get fully recovered, the legs feel good, we'll be taking the Propel V5 out for some quicker sessions. And I'm also happy to report that I got no stones stuck in this center cavity or this cutout in the midsole, which is a real positive thing because that hasn't always been the case. So all in all, a pretty good first run in the FuelCell Propel V5 from New Balance. Good fitting, comfortable upper, a well-cushioned FuelCell midsole, and coming in at 300 grams in a UK 10. Okay, it's not the lightest running shoe in the world, but I think that's a pretty good weight for a multi-purpose sort of workhorse neutral daily trainer, and costing only £120. I think that's pretty good value if you're looking for that sort of one-stop shop running shoe that can handle all the aspects of your training, from a nice long slow recovery run to those quicker sort of interval sessions. I've got to be honest, I'm not a massive fan of this black, grey, white colourway. I don't think it does the shoe a lot of justice, it's pretty boring, but there is other colour options available, and there's some more sort of brighter, more eye-catching colourways. Obviously, these are just my initial thoughts after today's first 8-mile run, and hopefully over the next sort of month or so, I'll get some more miles in the Propel V5, and then we'll be back with a full in-depth review. Like I mentioned earlier in the video, we're about to fly out to Norway to take on a race. Once we're back from there, we have 6 days to get ready for probably our biggest challenge of the year, because we're going to be flying out to the deserts of Jordan to take on the Ultra X Jordan, which is a 5-day multi-stage race in that harsh environment of the hot desert. We are so excited about this event, and definitely the biggest challenge of the year because we've never taken on anything like that. So hopefully we can get everything prepared. We're taking the cameras along, and we're going to be bringing you guys along on this adventure. So there you have it, folks, my first run in the new Propel V5 from New Balance. Got to say a big shout out to Ali from New Balance for hooking me up with a pair. It really is appreciated. But hope you've enjoyed the video, hope you found it helpful. If you did, don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. Only takes a second to do, but best of all, it is completely free, but a big help to the channel. Also, if you'd like to support us more and fly the Run4Adventure flag, we've just got some great new merchandise available at Run4Adventure.uk, including some cotton drawstring bags, some super cool enamel camping mugs, some new cotton tees with some new branding on the front, and we got some new multi-wrap designs, including the Run4Adventure multi-wrap of motivation. Keep your eyes peeled because we'll have Liga's CCC video and my Switzerland UTMR race video on the channel very soon. But for now, guys, thanks for watching. It's really appreciated. Thanks for all the support. And as always, stay safe and keep on running. So there you have it, folks, my first run in the new Propel V5 from New Balance. Like I mentioned earlier in the video, we're about to head out to Norway to take on a race, but once we're back from there, we've got 6 days to get ready before we fly out to the deserts of Jordan. We're going to fly out to the deserts of Jordan. That's easy for me to say.